press record. So, all right.
Yeah.
Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Right, that's absolutely fine. Right. Right, I've got a female coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And female's bringing a male. It's like on Earth plane, God bless him. Female always went first and male waited behind a bit and let her go first.
Yeah.
Do you have mum and dad in spirit? Right, that's who I've got. That's absolutely fine. Because she's come through and she's like, this is it. I'm gonna, and she's proper wanting her say at this. Right. Let me see what I get. What I'm getting is they were very close on Earth, but they went very close to spirit. There wasn't much between them at all. Because I feel like mum went first.
Mm-hmm.
And dad was ill, but he decided he didn't want to be here anymore because he'd had enough. So he thought he'd go as well.
Yeah.
But dad picked the most awkward day, he's telling me.
Well, no, it was my day my mum's funeral.
That's, well, there you go then. He's picked the most awkward day.
Yeah.
Bless him. Because mum and dad, I feel like they had... It sounds weird because I'm getting symptoms now and it's really weird, but I feel like they had the same sort of illness but in different parts.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's fine. Right. But yeah, when dad passed over, she was there. She was taking him over. She was...
Stood behind me, I could feel her stood behind me.
She was not... She wasn't waiting for anybody, yeah. She was like that, right, that's it, I'm there, and yeah. And I also feel as though before he passed over, dad saw her waiting for him.
Right.
He actually saw her.
Stood behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because out of both of them, character-wise, her energy's stronger.
She had something she could see. She couldn't channel anything, but she could. But personality-wise, yeah.
She's got very, very... There's something about her that's very strong. Something about her that's very strong. I also need to say to you from them, well done. Because I think you did something about them or something involving them when they'd passed over, and they want to say well done, and they were there with you when it happened or when you did it, whatever you did. So I have to say well done. So I have to say well done to that. Right. Now, do you have a son? Because they draw me to a male.
Yeah.
Right. This is going to sound so random, but I feel like my head's gone really cold. And I don't know why, but I feel like my head's gone really cold. It's like... Did he do something with his hair?
Yeah, he got it shaved off.
Because they're making me feel like my head... They drew me to this young man, and then all of a sudden my head went cold. And I was like, what have they done to his head?
Yeah.
Bless him. So yeah, they're acknowledging that. But I also have to go back to the same young man who did this, because I feel at the minute, I don't know if it's something to do with school or in a friendship circle or something, but I feel as though there's something not quite right. Now, I don't know if you're aware of anything. I don't know if you said anything. But remember, I've said that, and just be aware of it, because I feel like, you know, sort of situation where there's always that person, isn't there? In any environment, work, home, whatever, there's always that one person that has to have a go about something. Sorry if I yawn, they use my energy. but there's always that person who likes to cause something. But I feel like your boy's a bit of a pure soul, and I feel like he's so gentle. I know it sounds mad, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say he's a gentle giant.
Yeah.
He's like I feel like if he give you a hug, it's like a bear hug, and he's so loving, but he's so nice, and that's the thing. Don't let people take advantage of his kindness. So I have to give you that as well. Right. And they're also making me feel like I have to say, because they're giving me the end of December, that sort of, so I don't know if it's New Year or what, but I've got like the end of December time-ish, right? But I feel like you go into a shell about that time. You don't like celebrate the new year and what's to come. You always go into your little world. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I need to say to you, your life is here. Just because physically they're not here, spiritually they are. They're with you. So whatever you do around that time, they're doing it with you. And I feel like if your mother was here, I'm not saying it like that, but I feel like if your mother was here, she'd say, now come on, what we're going to do, sit here all maudling. And do you know what I mean? That she's that sort of person. She'd tell you straight, wouldn't she?
Yeah. Oh yeah, she would.
And I feel like now's the time to raise that glass to them at New Year and enjoy your life here with your family. Because when you're raising that glass to them, they're raising that glass to you as well. Right. Now, I'm trying to hide my brownie because I think your dad's trying to pinch some, and it's like, no. Do you know? Did you know what I mean? No. Sorry, this is mine. Right. You have something to do with Christmas as well with mum and dad. Now, I know Christmas is never the same when we lose anybody. We all understand that. But I feel as though it's close to Christmas as well. So, again, they're telling me you have to pull a cracker and wear the party hat. Alright? And if you don't, they will tell me. Because the amount of spirit people I've had over at Christmas time, excuse me, can you just tell them that, you said this and then they haven't done it, and I'm like, do you know, don't I get a break? So I'm telling you, you have to do it. And also, you have something of theirs, a decoration or something. Because you're acknowledging it. Do you also have something that's like, because they're giving it to me in my mind's eye, and I feel it's like a little nativity play set. No, like a little nativity set.
Yeah.
And you have the stable and baby Jeebus and all that in it and all. I don't know if it's yours or what, but
I don't know whether I've kept it or not, but they did have a nativity set.
Because they really draw me to that.
Right.
Right, what else give me? You applied for a job?
I sort of one out of where I am.
I get the feeling you're a bit indecisive at the minute. But I feel I also need to tell you, from Mother Dearest, that basically, stop it. If you want out, get out. If you want to apply for something, do it. Don't put up with what's going on. I don't know what's going on. It's not my business. They don't tell me. I don't ask. I'm just the filter. I'm the middleman. That's all it is. I'm just the messenger.
Yeah.
But I do feel like you need to do something, because this job situation that you're finding yourself in at the minute, it's like this isn't helping you with your mental health either. And your mental health's obviously affected because you've lost both parents, and from what we've worked out in a very, very short space of time, which I couldn't imagine. But you don't have to put up with what you're putting up with at work. If you're not happy there, get out, do something else that you're happy with. Right. They're giving me, when mum and dad passed over, was one of your children a baby?
Mine was, what my nephew was. He was only 6 months.
Right, that's fine. Because I've got a baby, but the baby's here on spirit, not in spirit, the baby's here on earth plane. But I feel like when they passed over, there was a baby that hadn't grown up, and there was talk at the time of so-and-so won't even know them, so-and-so won't even remember them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're happy because this child has been brought up with these two still very much talked about, still very much mentioned, still very much in their life, even though they're not here.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're acknowledging it.
Then it talks about like Nana on the mantelpiece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're acknowledging it. It's there's little things that honestly, sometimes it's the little things that mean the most though to somebody.
Yeah, I will tell my brother that.
Sometimes it is. Now, do we know who a Nora is? Because I have to acknowledge that name.
My mum.
Right, well, I've just literally had that name shouted at me, so I have to give it to you. Okay?
Yeah.
So I have to give you that. Right. He was always a protector, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was always her protector. He was like her bear.
Yeah, yeah, very much so, yeah.
Oh, God. Now, they're taking me in my mind's eye, and I feel like I'm watching them and they're in a room, but they're both together, but then they go back in another room on the same day, and they're both told something bad.
We found out they had cancer on the same day, 22nd of December. So, yeah, it was...
Shit. So,
it was bad, yeah.
That's why they're giving me it. But there's relevant why they're giving me it. There's got to be a positive out of it. So just let me work with them because there's a reason they're doing this. Why are you giving me that? When they got home that evening, they spoke amongst themselves.
My dad didn't come home. My mum was unable to care for him, so he stayed in.
Right. But your mother then spoke to some male. She spoke to somebody.
Right.
On that day. Could have been a family member or even somebody in the hospital. But she spoke to a male. There was a male who she had a conversation with. And I feel like when she spoke to this male, things made more sense to her. And she accepted it more and she wasn't as frightened.
Right.
So I don't know who it was, but I feel like she spoke with a male. So as I say, I don't know if it could have been at the hospital, it could have been somebody who worked there, it could have been a family member, I don't know, but I feel like she spoke to a male.
Could it have been somebody in spirit? Because she could do things now and again. She had no control. Because it would only be my brother, really, or my cousins, and I don't think she'd have phoned her cousin about it.
It could be. But I just get her, she sat talking with a male.
Right.
And she wasn't frightened.
Right.
So even though you lot were watching them go through this and you lot thought she was frightened, she wasn't.
Yeah.
She wasn't frightened, and neither was Dad really. But Dad knew that it'd be all right anyway because they'd be going at the same sort of time.
Yeah.
I do genuinely believe that them two were destined to be together on the earth plane, but I do genuinely believe that neither one of them could have lived without each other.
Yeah.
And that's why that happened, and it was horrific at the time of year. To be fair though, even if it was the middle of the year, it'd still be horrific. What happened was horrible, and the feeling they're giving me was very short space of time between the diagnosis and the passing anyway.
Yeah.
And obviously Dad went on an awkward day, and he thinks that's hilarious. You know,
Well,
as
you couldn't see her have anything, so you had to like take the thunder away
this is
from her a
it.
little
He
bit.
had to take that spotlight. But what I do feel as though is as well, the minute it won't be, because I know they've been past a good few years now. But I understand the way you feel at the minute. It won't be a laughing matter, let's just say. But I believe Dad's done this from what he's telling me, because one day you're going to talk about this and you're going to make a joke out of it, like you've just done there. He couldn't even give her that day. He couldn't even let her have that day.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And that's what he's giving me. That's why he's giving me that. Right. Was it you that sat and held his hand and
Yeah.
you didn't know he was out of it? And you weren't sure if he knew you were there?
I think I know he did know, because the day before we'd been and he did some actions, and
I just get the feeling that when he sat holding his hand, it was like you weren't sure if he was really knowing if it was you, really knowing who was there. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes when they give, I don't know what they gave him, but sometimes when they have medication towards the end of their lives as well, that it is like a case of just to knock them out, basically, to give them that peace at the end, isn't it?
yeah.
And sometimes when we sit with people who are in that situation, we do sit and question, will they know I'm here? Do they know it's me? Do they know I'm holding the hand? But I have to reassure you and say he knew everything. Even though he might not have been able to communicate, he knew everything. Because what I'm talking now, I feel like my throat is just, it's doing my head in. Seriously doing my head in.
Yeah.
Can you hear it? Now, sometimes I get this when I get spirit, but I've actually got spirit already. So to me, there was an issue with his throat, and he couldn't communicate.
There was, yeah, and esophagus.
Right,
Sorry.
he couldn't communicate properly. That's why my throat's like it is.
Yeah.
Bless him. Right. Right, just take that back and give me that again in a different way so I understand what you're doing. I've got both of them now trying to talk at once, and it's like, no. Your dad's trying to have his say, and Mother's like, just wait a minute, I just want to name it. Like, no.
Her arms will be going as well.
She's like this with her hand, yeah. Bless her. Right. They both appreciated the send-offs. I have to give you that. They both appreciated the send-offs they had. But I feel like there was, I don't know if it was on the order of service or in the chapel, whatever it was itself, but I feel like there was a photograph that was used. You've just had an orb go right past your face. I just thought I'd let you know that.
Thank you.
There was like a photograph that was used. And this photograph, you've got a copy of it, right? Now, I don't know if you've got this photograph on display or not, but I feel like this photograph would move slightly. It would move, or you'd look at it sometimes and it was like, sounds random, but it's like if you stare at the photograph, it's like the photograph moves slightly, like they move on this picture slightly, or the mouth moves slightly as though they're trying to tell you something.
We've actually used that picture. Remember, I think it was last year when you could get the photos to sing a song.
There you go then.
we use that picture for one of them for my dad, yeah.
Yeah, because they're making me aware of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Or smile. It did something where you could do it, but like it could smile. Sorry.
Was it one of them app things that then?
Yeah.
I remember somebody posted on my Facebook with one of them. And I was like, it freaked me out a bit, to be fair, because it was like, why would you do that? But each to their own.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what they're acknowledging them. That's what they're acknowledging. I also feel as though when they passed over, both of them look very smart, because I feel like Dad stepped in and is like showing off what he's, it's like, look at me, scrub up well, don't I? And it's like one of them, like, hee. But yeah.
He had a new Christmas jumper put on. That's what he was wearing, a new Christmas jumper.
But he's like, oh, look at me. And I feel like he's all happy and like he's trying to show what he's wearing and everything, and he's really happy with what he had on. But yeah, he was very happy with what he had. But he wants him and Mum want you to keep talking about the memories rather than the passing. Talk about the memories. Go back to your childhood with memories. Go back to teenage years with memories. Like, I've just got this in my mind's eye now, and I don't know if you remember this happening. I don't know what it is. But I feel like there's been, when you were younger, there was a memory and it involves something about dropping a teapot. Now, if you can't take this, just remember what I've said. Well, it'll come up on this reading. You'll be able to listen it back. Because I feel like there was something about a teapot or some kind of little teapot thing. And I feel like somebody dropped this teapot. And because it was either a used teapot or it's one of these teapots where it was precious to somebody for some reason, it wasn't spoke about. And nobody ever admitted who did it. And they're giving me that now, and I feel like they want you to talk about it to see if anybody's done it.
Right, that's how done.
So I don't know if, as I say, if it was a teapot that you have a cup of tea or like a pot thing. I don't know, but it's like a teapot thing, 'cause it's got a little handle thing on it. But I feel like there was an incident with that. I also have, in my third eye, I can also see your dad. Now I think I'm going back, because I'm looking at the Christmas decorations, right? And I'm looking at my nana's house, with all them big ones off the ceilings and
yeah.
Santa's grotto, we used to call it. But I've got your dad, and his arse is sticking out from underneath the Christmas tree because he's trying to find the bulb on the lights that's not working. And your mother is sat there on this armchair thing, and she's got like two white things on the chair arms, them doily things he had. She's got them, and she's giving him instructions on what to do, but just sat with a cup of tea or something in her hand. And he's under the tree trying to find this light that's not working. So again, things like that, that's why they're giving me it. They want you to talk about it and they want you to reminisce about it. Because it's like, as well, since they've gone, there's been some kind of breakdown in your family as well. And now, I'm not saying you've had major fallouts. I'm not saying that. But sometimes a family does break down when the two tops of the pyramid have gone.
Yeah.
And things aren't the same anymore. But things will never be the same, but you can always start to build your own pyramid now. And this is why, again, they're going back to celebrating New Year and Christmas and things like that. I know it's hard. It must be horrendous. But I'm just giving you what they're giving me. Yeah. So, oh, God. They're draining my energy. Absolutely. So, I'm now going to get them to choose your cards before they use all their energy and continue to drain mine.
Right.
So, I don't need to tell you who's jumped in to go first, do I? I'm not arguing with her.
No, I didn't do that much either. You never win.
No, she's always right, isn't she? You could argue that she could argue that the sky was green, but she would be right. Yeah, absolutely. Right, you just use my hand. That's it. That's absolutely fine. Which one do you want? That one, that's warm. Right, we've gone for that one. Right. Your dad, come on. She's still hovering, you know. Your dad's choosing a card and she's like that. Go for that one. Go for that one. I'm like, let him pick his own. God. See, I get the feeling as well with him that dad might have had an opinion on certain things, but wasn't even worth speaking about, was it really?
Not to my mum's, that was just, yeah. No.
Yeah, it just wasn't worth even mentioning, really, was it? No.
Yeah.
This is your mother again. So your dad's chose your middle card. Your second one, your mother's chose number 1 and 3.
Right.
Right. Thank you. First card, Angel of Challenges. You are going to come up against some challenges, and I do believe a lot of the challenges are within yourself. Because I feel like you doubt yourself as well. I feel like your confidence needs boosting. You've had your confidence knocked. And I don't just believe that this is losing your parents in the way you did. I feel like your confidence was knocked by other people as well. And possibly people at work, people around you in general. So the challenge is to basically build yourself up and take that step forward and apply for that job. Book that holiday. Go and get your hair done. Go ice skating. Whatever you want to do, if you've thought about it, do it. Because there's no point wallowing in life because we only get one. I know some people think in past lives and stuff. I don't have a clue about that side of it. I really don't. I mean, I've often said myself, so I must have been a twat in a past life for what I've gone through. But this is your life now.
Yeah.
And live it. Live it. So challenge yourself. You can do it. You can get past it. The card your dad's drawn you is Angel of Remembrance. Because when you think about them and you miss them, they miss you, you know. They think about you and miss you. And that's his way of saying that they're never far from you. They're always round you, and they're never ever far from you. And just because physically they're not here, spiritually they are. And their energy is really, really strong. Another orb's just gone past your face, by the way. Just thought I'd let you know. You've got them round you.
I've actually seen my dad in an orb before
Yeah.
on a picture of daughter's birthday.
Yeah.
You zoomed in, we could see him.
They are around you. They're very, very strongly around you as well. But this is just to say it's good to remember them. It's good to reminisce. But don't let it now control the rest of your life. Because you've got a life that you've got to live. And your last card from Mother is... Did you say you're at work tonight?
Yeah.
Angel of the Night Sky. I feel she's given you this card as well to acknowledge that you do nights and stuff, don't get me wrong. But I feel as though your mind at night... Oh, excuse me. Is more active. Like, even if you weren't working at night, your mind would be all at night because everything that you think about happens at night. And this card, basically, what she's drawing you this card for is basically, instead of trying to overthink on the night, overthinking, try and close your mind off and just think of something peaceful and happy and try and settle. Because you're only going to think rationally when your body and your mind is alert. When your body is knackered and your mind is doing this, you are thinking irrational thoughts and you're overthinking situations. That's why I believe she's drawn you that card. But again, she's pointing to the moon on the card and she's smiling. Now, I don't know if you were a child, if you ever said it, I love you to the moon and back.
Probably, I can't remember.
There's something about the moon that's she's given me for you. So it could be a love you to the moon and back, or you saw the man on the moon, or there was something to do with that anyway. I need to give you it. It might come to you. Hopefully it will. But that's the cards that they've drawn for you.
because my dad used to work away. I used to say night to the moon for him. I think that might be it.
That could be it, but she's definitely given you that card, so I have to give you it. So I'm going to stop this recording.